Okay. Well, hello everyone again. This is Dr. David, and thank you for joining us on this very special presentation. This presentation is really about the basics, the fundamentals, what really makes life work. And one of the things I really love about my job, if you can call it one, is that I get exposed to some of the best technologies out there. And really that was part of our dream when we first started this, was to be able to see and display to people the best resources that are out there that can help them in their quest for health and longevity. And this certainly is one of them. Optimizing oxygen and antioxidant efficiency, is it efficiency? Efficiency for peak performance with Michael Stern and Ben Mayberry. I'm going to show their picture right now. That's Michael and Ben, and they will both be doing. And Ben will be on the phone speaking. Michael will be doing the presentation, showing some really nice videos. And Michael, I'm going to hand this over to you, and then read your bio. So just hang a little while, and I'll hand over to you finally, officially, so you can start getting set up. Now, Michael Stern obviously has done a couple of webinars for us in the past, and those of you who have attended, you know what quality he has. Michael Stern also holds a bachelor's degree in biology from the UMBC. I remember what that meant. I think it's University of Maryland, and has
University of Maryland, Baltimore County.
Baltimore County. Okay, great. Okay, BC. I was going to say British Columbia, but that just didn't sound right. All right, thanks. And has worked in scientific and analytical research for the prestigious Johns Hopkins University. He has also worked for international chemical giants W.R. Grace and Cypress Industrial Minerals. His primary areas of research were in molecular biology, biochemistry, organic, and analytical chemistry. Michael Stern has spent 15 years researching alternative and energetic health-related products and technologies, as well as running 2 companies focused on delivering these types of products to the alternative and integrated health community. Now, Ben Mayberry, who has become a good friend of ours, and he's going to tell you more about himself. But this man is a top-class athlete. I think is it 3rd or 4th Dan degree black belt, Ben? Okay, so he's been muted. Okay, we'll try and get him back on. But Ben, he's an athlete. He has won several awards, and he's in business now. But I tell you, this man has studied health and nutrition, and can teach it probably better than almost anybody I know, because he applies it to his sports efficiency and what he does in competitive sports, or what he has done in competitive sports. So if we can get him back on, he will be contributing and chiming in from time to time. So over to you, Michael, and I'm going to work on getting Ben back on.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and welcome everybody this evening. We're real excited about sharing the information on ASEA and how this amazing breakthrough product has such a huge impact on oxygen and antioxidant efficiency. And particularly in the course of this particular webinar, we're going to be focusing on how that impacts athletic performance. So I think what I like to do before kind of going into this PowerPoint a little bit is I'm just going to show a real quick clip, if I may, on the science of ASEA. And let's see how that goes.
My name is Ronald Norris, MD, and I'm from Boston, Massachusetts. Dr. John Baird in Louisville, Kentucky.
I'm Shelley Proby from Elizabethtown, Kentucky.
I'm Dr. Rob Ward. I'm a family practitioner.
Gary Samuelson. I'm an atomic physicist. Our cells age with us. And part of the disease process is actually that your cells get damaged.
As we age, the healing process becomes a little bit more slow, less efficient.
We have to find a way to have those cells rejuvenated.
Redox signaling molecules are absolutely crucial to maintaining peak efficiency in cell function.
It's all about homeostasis and balance, and what it does is allow your body to perform at its maximum, at its best level.
It enables you to go into your cells, repair whatever cell damage has been done, make them work better, and then if you add exercise and that onto that, you'll be even healthier.
This is a remarkable process because it is actually the process which allows us to regenerate tissue and maintain our health. I am so excited about this new awareness, this new paradigm of what we can do with our health. One of the great benefits that redox signaling can have for us is that it helps accelerate and maintain healthy tissue.
I feel very confident giving this to all my patients. It's something that they need, it's something that their cells lack, and we're just restoring it because it is native to the body. It's already there, just not enough of it.
Every patient that I see, I share ASEA with, and my story, my experience with ASEA.
This technology has the potential of spearheading some of the greatest advances of health in the world. The possibility of being able to stabilize redox signaling molecules and use them as bioactive, non-toxic agents inside our body is phenomenal. And it will make a difference, and it will be the future technology that will affect almost all areas of health science and well-being.
All right. So with that as kind of a just an intro, let's talk a little bit about what ASEA is and how this product actually, fulfills some of the very powerful concepts that they were just sharing in that clip that we just watched. So what I'd like to talk about for a second is, things are happening so fast, so frequently in the advancement of science. Science is advancing all the time, and if you think about it and ask yourself, are you aware of all the advances that are happening all the time? And you would have to answer that no, because we're in such a huge information-rich environment that frequently we don't find out about something that may be new or advancing until it really becomes something that we're purposely seeking out, or it's big enough that it kind of gets through the noise background, makes it to the media, or something along these lines. What I'd like to do is I want to give a little bit of an intro to this concept of redox signaling. Now, as David was mentioning, Dr. David was mentioning earlier, I come from a pretty strong scientific background, did a lot of research in molecular biology and chemistry, and actually spent about 10 years dealing with research relative to redox chemical types of reactions and how that impacts health. And I was not familiar with this world of redox signaling. In fact, the whole explosion in research in the scientific community in redox signaling has really happened over the last 8 to 10 years. But in the world of supplementation and antioxidants and things of that nature, for the last 20 years, there's been a huge area of knowledge base increasing with the concept of what antioxidants are, how important they are. But what we're going to see is that there's a paradigm change, and this paradigm change is relative to this world of redox signaling. So let me just take a minute and explain for a second what redox signaling is. And again, I'm going to go through that in more detail a little bit later on. But if you were to just Google redox signaling, you would find that there's massive amounts of information out there. In fact, you could put the word redox signaling into Google with any health-related condition that perhaps you're interested in, and you will find that there's stuff going on all over the place. There are now journals of redox signaling. There are now international symposiums and conferences on redox signaling. But redox signaling is actually a new system, a system that's been discovered that actually is involved in every single form of life out there as a primary communication system, more significant foundational-wise than the nervous system or the endocrine system, for instance. And because this is like the backdrop of how everything works. From a, if I can use like a computer metaphor, for those of you that may be familiar somewhat with computer programming, not that I'm a programmer, but if you think about the nervous system, you think about the immune system, you think about the endocrine system. Think about that as like, object language in the programming world. And this redox signaling system would be like the machine language, the very basic core language that actually runs everything, and everything's layered on top of it. So let's just kind of put this in perspective a little bit. In order to appreciate this, we have to realize that we really live and die at the cellular level. And at the end of the day, if our cells are healthy, we're healthy. But if you take a look at what cellular health really is, you need to kind of understand that there's some basic aspects to this that are really critical, because most of us don't think of ourselves as a collection of cells. We think of ourselves as a human being and everything that's going on around us. But our bodies are comprised of some 50 trillion cells. And on a daily basis, we replace somewhere around 300 billion cells. Now those numbers are just outrageous. I mean, they're really kind of hard to put your mind around. But the reality is that we're replacing cells at breakneck speed. Like, just to give you an example of it, every 3.5 to 5.5 days, we've got a brand new gastrointestinal lining. Every 30 days or so, we're replacing all of our skin cells. And so we're replacing cells to the tune of 300 billion cells on a daily basis. And really, the quality of those replacement cells has everything to do with the quality of our health on a moment-to-moment basis. You see, we have a tendency to think of ourselves as being more static, the way we think of our cars. Our cars, they get old, they wear out, they rust out. But our bodies are incredibly dynamic because of this tremendous movement of replacing the cells. But the challenge is these cells are being damaged all the time, every day. The obvious things are damaged externally, things like sunburn, things like skinning our knee. They're damaged by the pollutants in the air, the food, and the water. But even exercise itself damages cells by the millions. I mean, and that's how we benefit by exercise, because we actually damage muscle cells and they're replaced, and that's how we're building muscle as a result of exercising. But internally, we're damaging cells through viruses, through bacteria, and through normal life metabolic processes are constantly damaged cells. So our bodies have an extraordinary mechanism for repairing damaged cells, and that's what we're going to be focusing on. But the thing is that the efficiency of that system for repairing those damaged cells is at 100% efficiency when we're children, when we're young children, 5, 6 years or younger. I mean, you can just feel the incredible efficiency of the repair mechanisms for young children. The proverbial watching a kid is, they've got unlimited energy. But you take a 5-year-old child, for instance, and they skin their knee. In just a couple of days, it's completely gone. Where what happens to us as adults if we skin their knee? I mean, it can take weeks, sometimes even months or longer before it completely heals up, because those mechanisms for that cellular repair are essentially diminishing dramatically with age. So much so, by the time we're 70 years old, we've lost 90%. There's only 10% efficiency in this process by the time we're 70. And that's why these systems, these processes get worse and worse as we get older. So let's take a look at cellular health. So cellular health is really comprised of 3 primary aspects. The first is protection. The cells need to be protected against the various causes of damage to the cells. And there's elaborate mechanisms to do that. Dr. David mentioned earlier glutathione, the master antioxidant. This glutathione is only produced inside the cell. You can't supplement with glutathione. You can supplement to increase glutathione production within the cells. But that is like the first line of defense against cell damage, against oxidative stress. Things like glutathione, superoxide dismutase catalase are the 3 master antioxidants that exist within the cells that have to be produced within the cells. But frequently, the damage is severe enough that the protection is not able to prevent that from occurring, and then it's necessary for the cells to repair themselves. And then there's an elaborate process for the cells to repair themselves, and really they've got about 2 hours to do that. If a cell can't fix itself within about 2 hours, what's actually supposed to occur is the cell is literally supposed to take itself out through a process that's called apoptosis. It's a process of basically self-digesting, so the cell then is removed, and so that it can be replaced by healthy cells from the surrounding cells. Now, why is it important that if it can't fix itself, it needs to be replaced by healthy cells from cells around it? If you just imagine for a second what would occur if a cell was damaged and yet it slipped through the cracks in this process and wasn't replaced with a healthy cell. What would happen is that that damaged cell would divide, and if it had sustained damage to the DNA, that DNA would then divide, and now you would have two damaged cells. They would further divide, and then you would have 4, and then 8, 16, 32, and 64th, and so forth. And that really is the basis of aging itself. It's also the basis of several different kinds of very degenerative types of health issues. But the bottom line is that if we're replacing 300 billion cells on a daily basis, it doesn't take but a small fraction of those to slip through the cracks of this process to have damaged cells that are propagating. And that's how we age, and that's how we get sick. And as this efficiency of this repair process decreases with age, that's how these processes accumulate and aggravate over time. So it turns out that this redox signaling system is the very basis of what's making this process work. And I'm going to go into this a little bit more in detail in another segment of this, certainly. But I just want you to understand that what ASEA is essentially are these redox molecules in a bottle. And really what ASEA is it's a product that's produced from water and salt going through a highly patented process that converts the saline solution into these redox signaling molecules that are stabilized in this bottle. And that is practically a marvel of science in itself, that they've been able to stabilize that. And the key is that taking these redox signaling molecules and is able to restore your body's efficiency in this process to the way it was when we were much, much younger. And the results are nothing less than astonishing. So let's talk a little bit about how this relates to athletic performance. Because when you're talking about being an athlete, if you've got the same kind of training, you're using the same kind of equipment, you've got the genetic disposition, the capability, the talent to be an athlete, but at the end of the day, it's endurance that's everything that separates the people that are crossing the finish line from those that are crossing the finish line thereafter. So let's talk about what are some of the things that happen as a result of ASEA relative to endurance. Now, one of the things that the company discovered to their amazement, because the process of the development of ASEA really evolved over some 15-plus years of research, primarily focusing on health and wellness areas of enhancing the body's repair mechanisms, the immune system, and things of that nature. But they discovered the athletic performance as a result of athletes coming back to them saying, wow, what is this stuff? I'm taking this product. I was taking it for, a health-related issue, but, this is just unbelievable what it's doing to my endurance and my recovery athletically. So they began to do some research relative to athletic science, and one of the things they discovered was how it impacts something that's called VO2 max. And let me just kind of put this in perspective of what VO2 max is. If you were out in the wild, say up in the Rocky Mountains somewhere, and a bear started chasing you, when you basically hit your fastest speed where you're running and trying to keep ahead of the bear, that's basically at VO2 max, okay? And the key is that we're finding that with the ASEA, you've got a dramatic increase of time before you kind of get to that VO2 max so that you're really able to pace yourself. And we started also doing work in something called ventilatory threshold. Now, the time to reach ventilatory threshold is kind of the time where you hit the runner's wall. Actually, what it means is that the ventilatory threshold, you're no longer efficiently burning sugar in your muscles aerobically. You start to go into anaerobic respiration, which is much less efficient, produces a lot less ATP for the amount of sugar that you're burning, and a lot of people call that the runner's wall. So in our bear analogy, that would be the point where you start losing energy and the bear starts gaining manure. That's ventilatory threshold. So we found that there was a huge, massive 12% increase on the average of athletes in their time to ventilatory threshold after only 2 weeks of using ASEA. And just to put this in perspective, a 2 to 3% increase is a huge thing. That's about the one of the sports area luminaries was saying that a 2 to 3% increase can mean the difference between being in first place or 50th place in the Tour de France, for instance. And just to kind of put it in perspective, people that take illegal performance-enhancing drugs do it to get a 2 or 3% increase in VT. And you look at ASEA there on the blue, a massive 12% increase. So we're talking multiples of what people do to take illegal performance-enhancing drugs. And guess what? ASEA is completely legal because at the end of the day, ASEA is already being produced in every single cell of your body. It's just as we get older that quantity diminishes, just like we talked about that efficiency diminishing. So let's talk for a second about what this really means. I'm going to just transition for a second here. I'm going to take a look at a little video clip.
And I've been coaching for 12 years.
I'm going to start
When
that
I was
over.
introduced to ASEA, I was very impressed with the 3 components of endurance, recovery, and repair, as well as the visible results we saw through the VO2 max testing. VO2 max testing has allowed us to see something we haven't seen in other products. Because of that, it is going to change the athletic playing field in college, Olympic, and professional athletes. It's not an energy drink. It's an endurance, which is completely different, because with energy, there's a high and then there's a low. With an endurance product, there's not ever a low. It's just effective during exercise. Personally, I've had 14 knee surgeries. It's absolutely changed my life and allowed me to do the things that I love to do. Having been an ex-athlete, I continue to stay competitive, and I try to pretend that I still have what I used to have. But I love to compete. I have been limited with 14 knee surgeries, had 3 ACLs and several others that followed. And I've had to be careful as to things that I've done and how much I've done. Since I've been on ASEA, I have found that I am able to go out day after day and do the things that I love to do, and do it hard and do it intense and compete at a level that I remember competing at, and it's been great.
And I'm also going to show this next one.
My name is James Lawrence, and I'm an Ironman triathlete. This year I've set out on a quest to set the world record for the most half Ironmans done in a year. In order to accomplish my goal, I'm doing a half Ironman event every other week, sometimes weekly. There's one stretch where I have to do 7 half Ironmans in an 8-week stretch. I heard from a good friend and double NCAA basketball coach about the ASEA product, and she told me about what the product could do for me, and frankly I didn't believe the claims, but I trusted her. And so I went down to a sports clinic and I got tested. I ran on a treadmill on an incline, got all my ventilatory thresholds and heart rates tested. And then I went on the product for 6 weeks. Returned to the same clinical test, had it all done. I was able to run faster, at a steeper incline, at a lower heart rate. And tests don't lie and data doesn't mislead me. And so I knew instantly that this was going to be a very important product for me, something that I had to have in order for me to accomplish my goals and get through the year. And ASEA gives me the ability to not only recover quickly, but get in some pretty important training in between those weeks. Without it, I think I'd be laying on my back and not unable to continue or compete. And so with the ASEA product, it allows me to recover quickly, get back on my feet, and just go out there and kill it again. Having been on ASEA and training with it, I wouldn't want to do without it. I think my performance would drop. I think I would be risking injury, and so I absolutely love it, and I want to stay on forever.
Okay, and then one last one that I want to show here.
I'm Cindy Lampy, and I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I've been a runner for about 18 years, and just recently got into triathlons after running 4 marathons in just under 2 years. After 4 weeks of being on ASEA, I ran a 10K, and I had a personal record, and I had a negative split, which means that I ran the second half faster than the first half, which is something I have been trying to achieve for 2 years and have been unable to accomplish. The next race was 2 weeks later, and it was a 10-mile race, and I also set a personal record, and I knocked 14 minutes off of a previous 10-mile race that I just run 3 months earlier. I run with a group, and I've noticed that during my runs, after 2 or 3 miles of warming up, I'm getting faster and I feel stronger, and I end up running ahead of the group, and I finish before the group, and my recovery time is quicker. Recovery, well, for a busy mom, it's very important because I can't rest after a long run. I have children to take care of, and I have to keep going. As an athlete, it's important because you have, your runs and your training the next day, your bike rides, your swim, whatever, and it just makes you stronger for the next workout. I cannot imagine training without ASEA. I take it before every training run, and before every race. I have ASEA with me, and I will drink 4 to 6 ounces about 20 minutes before the race. I will never run without ASEA again.
Okay. Hey, Ben, are you with us?
I am, Michael.
Ben Mayberry, a great friend and a wonderful colleague working together in ASEA. Ben, why don't you share a little bit about your experience and your take on ASEA?
Well, when I heard ASEA for the first time, it resonated with me because back in 1989, I read a book, Search of the Cancer Answer, and it talked about 4 quadrants of the cell that really laid the groundwork for cellular health, and one of those quadrants was communication. But I could never tangibly affect that inside of the world of nutrients or water or exercise. I could only hope to do those 3 and help affect the 4th quadrant, which was communication. So when I learned that it was a cell communication device, really, it made complete sense to me. I continued looking deeper and digging and going further and further with it, and I understood that the cell communication really made a huge difference in the performance of the cell and the athlete. I literally, every year, we go out to the snow hills, and my boys, we at least get one good snow here in Midwest. And we went out to the snow hills, and of course I hadn't competed or worked out for quite some time, but I do my little workout, but nothing like I used to do. So we'd go to the snow hills every year, and of course I would feel the pump in my legs, the fatigue, and the vibration, really, the quivering in my legs running to the top of the snow hills, and I loved it. I enjoyed that because it was like just that push. So I really did like that. Upper respiratory challenge, I liked that. I felt like I was really doing something good, and I love to do that. But what I realized is that this year I'd been on ASEA for a little while. I ran out of the product, actually, and had a 4-ounce spray applicator with 4 ounces of ASEA in it. And I literally used that over the last 3 days, and here the snow hit, and we went out to the snow hills. Spraying it in my mouth, just spraying it in my mouth, gave me enough difference that when I ran to the top of the hill for the first time, when we slid down, I ran to the top of the hill. I felt nothing. I felt nothing in my legs whatsoever, and that was really odd to me. So I immediately slid down because I wanted to push it again, go to the top, see how I felt. I felt nothing, and my upper respiratory was minor in comparison to the years past, minor elevation in that. So I knew something was up. I could not wait for the ASEA to come back and my order to get in and get on at full force again. But yeah, very, very impressive at the athletic level, to be sure.
All right. Well, let's take a look at another little clip there, Ben, that I think is going to be supportive of what you just said.
My name is St. John Smith. I'm a beach volleyball world champion and Olympian.
Hey, Michael, we can't see the screen.
Hanson
You
Clinic
can't?
for kids.
Yeah, your PowerPoint is blocking it.
And really have not been able to get away.
Okay, hold on.
Get away from the sport of beach volleyball.
Sorry, the PowerPoint's still there? Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. Let's take.
My name is St. John Smith. I'm a beach volleyball world champion and Olympian and commentator now, and I run Hanson clinics for kids up and down the California coast and all over the country, and really have not been able to get away from the sport of beach volleyball. Beach volleyball, you know, is a very difficult sport. You're out here trying to move around in the sand, which is not very forgiving. Well, it is to some degree, because if you fall, you're not going to get hurt. But trying to go anywhere is very difficult. Trying to jump is very difficult. And you're covering a large court, a court that 6 people would cover indoors. So the sport of beach volleyball can be a very, very difficult sport. I've been searching my whole career, 25 years, for a product that would help me perform. That was obviously legal as well, because I was playing internationally and I played in the Olympic Games. So this is something I was very skeptical about. So I said, okay, I want to try this. I want to see how it affects me. If the tests they've already done are so successful, what would happen if I tested it on myself? Even though I was not, you know, the athlete I was 10, 15, 20 years ago, still, I know what it's like when I push myself today and how it feels. So I ran the stairs up in the canyon, and I know I can do it a certain number of times, and I know the way I feel afterwards. So I did it, and then I ran a few more because I felt pretty good. I thought, okay, if I feel that good, I'm going to push myself even harder just to see how things go. So I ran a few more sets, and I come down, and normally my legs are shaking. They weren't shaking. I thought, well, that's odd. Okay, well, I'll just wait until tomorrow, because the next day I can barely walk. Normally, when I do that kind of a workout. So the next day I felt pretty good. I wasn't limping around when I walked. I was feeling pretty darn good, and that's what I knew. This product is very special, and the claims that they've been making through the tests they've been doing were real. So ever since then, I've been telling all my friends and athletes and people about the product, because I've never seen anything like it. I want to be able to do things as closely as the way I used to do it years ago, and the only way I've been able to do that is through this product. It allowed me to train harder, recover better, and have better overall health. So even though my career is long over, I still receive the benefits.
All right. You gotta love St. John Smith there. So what I'd like to do at this juncture is I'm going to go back into this PowerPoint presentation in just a second, if I can get my screen to cooperate here. Okay, and one second. So Ben, while I'm getting this set up, do you want to comment on how you felt about what St. John was saying?
Yeah, I'd love to. You know, it doesn't really matter whether you're working at that level, competing at that level, or just trying to get across the room. I had an 83-year-old lady talk about the fact that she belongs to a club, and this is a real big foyer, and she walks into this foyer and literally has to sit down and rest, catch her breath, and she's fighting for oxygen. Her body's, in an Olympic workout in regards to her level of health and performance. And so she has to stop 2 to 3 times before she just makes it across to the other side of this foyer. And so she started ASEA, and within, oh gosh, I don't know, days, she walked all the way across the foyer at the club without stopping one time. So her body, even though, again, her VO2 max was not like a peak athlete, obviously it was not, but at her level of living and life, that was a major win. It was a major victory for her. So, so it doesn't really matter how or what level of performance a person wants to achieve, whether it be through a daily routine, maybe a level of health that's been lost. The improvement is noticeable. The improvement is welcomed, and that's what we're seeing. So yeah, absolutely. When St. John Smith ran up those stairs and his legs weren't quivering, that's a very significant, very noticeable benefit that has materialized. So same way with me with the snow hills. I thought, this is really odd, really. I mean, it totally locked in what I thought I understood about ASEA. It really locked that in when it became a reality.
My question, Ben, would be, well, what if I'm not an athlete? What if all I want to do is just go through the presentation, I mean, excuse me, go through my daily routine without feeling totally tired and conking out on the sofa? Does this give you a high or a lift, or it's only when you push yourself that you actually feel the experience?
It's really foundational. It's such a foundational thing, and it's cumulative. I mean, the cumulative benefits and effects that I realized and noticed over time. You thought, okay, 30 days or a week or 2 weeks or 2 days, whatever the case may be. You think, okay, I'm peaked out. I've maximized my value. I shouldn't expect anything beyond that. Well, weeks and months down the path, you realize that the body went through a repair process and a recovery process, and it literally, something that might have been plaguing you for years on a just day in, day out basis is gone. All of a sudden you wake up and somebody may have mentioned it and you say, wait a minute, I don't have that problem anymore either. I just noticed it, I just recognized it, I just realized it. So, you go through, and for instance, my sciatic nerve had bothered me for years. And right out of the gate, 2 weeks out of the gate when I was consuming ASEA, I didn't notice anything in regards to that. But I've dealt with this for years and years and years, very repetitively, very consistently, having that dull sciatic awareness, that there's an issue there. The only thing that ever relieved it was chiropractic, and it relieved it for a period of time. It seemed to work its way back in, and so all of a sudden, one day down the path, whether it be 2 months down, 3 months down, I don't exactly chronologically know when it occurred, but I have no sciatic issues. I mean, I could step out of bed. That was the first sign of, oh, my sciatic it's alive and well. And it'd take a few steps, and I'd go into the bathroom, and then, it worked itself out where I didn't really notice it through the day, but in the mornings especially, and with certain rigors, I would go through loading, unloading things, maybe pushing the lawnmower. It would have that nagging, that little dull, level of awareness. Nothing. So who would have ever thought something like that the body would get on top of it and have the repair and the replacement process, whatever it needed to do. Who would have ever imagined something that plagued you for so long, the body was able to deal with it? So I'm literally taken aback by that.
All right. Well, hey, I really appreciate that. And also, Dr. David, I mean, we're finding that ASEA is a phenomenal product for everybody. And, you don't need to be a professional athlete, whether you're just a weekend warrior, whether you're just someone who's in their 60s wanting to play tennis a little bit longer and feel a little less, hurtful the next day, or whether you know, you're a mom, you're just trying to run around and pick up the kids and run them around, or whatever, anybody just trying to get through life, we're just getting phenomenal response from people about just the quality of sleep that they're getting, that they're not getting these energy lulls in the middle of the day, things of that nature. So yeah, even though we're focusing on athletes, this really is a product that impacts everybody. So let's kind of carry on a little bit here. You know, we're hearing about negative splits in marathons, lower heart rates, better recovery, personal best. How is all this possible? And how is all this possible with people just using this product for very, very short periods of time? I was up at a athletic trainers conference up in Canada about a month ago, and we had a guy come by the booth there that was going to be running a triathlon the following week, actually the following day. And so I gave him like a bottle of ASEA to take with him. I said, take this with you and let me know if it makes an impact. And he called back and he said he beat all of his personal best out of that one day. So it was unbelievable. What is this stuff? So let's talk a little bit more about ASEA. So Ben talked about cellular communication. Well, communication is really the key, one of the big things. I mentioned earlier about redox signaling being a communication system, the most fundamental communication system, because the most primitive plant cell, the most highly organized cell, all uses this redox signaling concept as a basic communication system. Our cells are always communicating. In fact, the only difference between a heart cell and a liver cell, it has exactly the same DNA in it, but it's the environment that's communicated to those cells that literally determines that those cells are those prospective heart cells and liver cells. So every second of the day there's a huge amount of information processing that's taking place, and in fact you can think of your body as the most complex communication network on earth when you're thinking about 50 trillion cells communicating throughout the day. It is breathtaking. It is miraculous. I love to think about it from that point of view. So this redox signaling communication thing has a huge impact on the overall coordination of all these things coming together in their most efficient way. So ASEA is beyond everything. It's beyond protein shakes, nutritional supplements, energy and recovery drinks. I mean, this is a product that restores your ability for your body to work at its most optimal level, like I said, back to when you were much, much younger. It's amazing what it can do, and it doesn't take months or years for that to happen. It literally begins to happen immediately as you start using this product ASEA. So let's talk a little bit about the science behind redox signaling. First off, we saw Dr. Gary Samuelson in that initial video clip. Dr. Samuelson wrote this book that we see here, The Science of Healing Revealed, New Insights into Redox Signaling. In fact, this is the book that caught my attention. That was the introduction of redox signaling and ASEA to me, and it was a huge revelation for me. It really fulfilled some really huge gaps in the research I was doing to understand how redox environments and implications affect health, and this was like a major aha when I wrote it. So Dr. Samuelson talks in this book basically from the perspective that all health problems are linked to damaged cells. He doesn't say some health problems. He says every health problem is linked to damaged cells. And without this cellular healing process, literally life couldn't exist. In fact, if this redox signaling system were to fail, we wouldn't be able to survive more than a few hours, because it doesn't take long when you're having billions of these cellular repairs and replacements happen on a daily basis for things to completely mess up your ability for your body to be coordinated and work all together. And that these signaling molecules are fundamental to this healing process. So this is really, really breathtaking information. It definitely caught my attention. And I have to tell you, you know, I was kind of skeptical initially. I wasn't skeptical about the science. I mean, there's, you know, years and hundreds of studies and papers on redox signaling. The talks about this amazing science. I was skeptical whether this product ASEA would deliver on the promise to the science, but it didn't take more than a few days to a week before I really started seeing it manifesting in my own life, the lives of my family and friends around me, and I was really, really impressed. So let's talk a little bit about what these signaling molecules are. Now, for those of you who maybe it's been a while since you've had a biology class, you might recall that the mitochondria is an organelle inside your cell. It's a little factory in your cell that's responsible for producing the energy of your cell. The energy is in a form of a molecule called ATP, or adenosine triphosphate. Now, scientists have known for decades that when the mitochondria produce ATP, it's producing a couple different categories of cells. These two different categories of cells, ROS and RS, it stands for reactive oxygen species and reactive species. For 50 years they understood that, but they just saw these as waste metabolites of ATP production. They didn't think that it had any purpose. They didn't think that it had any benefit to the cells. But it's been discovered in this last 8 to 10 years of redox signaling that these molecules have an incredibly important role to play. What it actually does is that one side result in the immune system communicator that allows the immune system to know when it needs to attack viruses and bacteria. It alerts the cells that are damaged that, hey, you're damaged. It tells the cells that are damaged to fix themselves, and it tells the cells around in the immune system that the damaged cell fails to go through apoptosis and starts to divide a damaged cell to go after and eliminate those damaged cells. So one of the things that's amazing that people comment about with ASEA is, for instance, when people are drinking ASEA and they're also spraying ASEA topically, that they're seeing things like age spots diminish, scars diminishing, and that's a result of the body recognizing damaged cells and replacing them with healthy cells. It's totally amazing. Then on the other side, the RS side, you've got these antioxidant activators. Now, I did not know that antioxidants needed to be activated. I just thought you take an antioxidant and they work. But the astonishment that I discovered is that the antioxidants are really a very, very important thing, and they need to be activated. Now, the key with both of these is that they need to have a healthy balance. That what happens is when a cell gets sick, it gets out of balance between these two different things. So let's talk about antioxidants and antioxidant activators for a second here. First off, we've known about antioxidants, again, for some 20 years. And in the beginning, the focus on antioxidants were the main vitamins. The essential vitamins A, C, and E are antioxidants, and that's what people talked about. And then, people started discovering these other sources of antioxidants through exotic fruits and berries and things of that nature, and that became a real popular way of people getting these botanical antioxidants, the ones that aren't necessarily produced inside your body. I kind of joke a little bit about this, because when we talk about ASEA, we talk about ASEA as being native to the cells. They exist already in the cells. And let's just use an example. A blueberry is a wonderful fruit. It has a great antioxidant, but blueberries are not native to your body. Your body does not contain blueberries. You don't have a blueberry deficiency, so if you're not eating blueberries. So a lot of focus was on these external botanical antioxidants. And then over the last several years, there's been a real focus on these internal antioxidants, the glutathione, the SOD, the catalase that we talked about, and they're extremely important, but you can't supplement. You actually need to have these produced within the cells. But what was the astonishing revelation to me is that without these signaling molecules, the antioxidants on their own are actually useless. And the reason they're useless is that antioxidants are very much like light bulbs. It's a wonderful invention, incredibly useful, but without the electricity to activate the antioxidant, they don't work. And the electricity is provided in the form of electrons from these redox signaling molecules that essentially restore the antioxidant. The way this works is the first time you use an antioxidant, boom, it doesn't need the redox signaling. It transfers its electrons, it balances the oxidative stress, But before it can do it again, and antioxidants are catalysts, which means they get used over and over and over again, but before it can go and catalyze another reaction, it needs to be restored to it's a state that's called a reduced state, and it needs the electrons to do that. And the redox signaling molecules basically provide the electrons to reduce these antioxidants so they can work again. Now here's the amazing results, that ASEA increases antioxidant effectiveness by over 500%. It's actually 800% on the glutathione peroxidase and is 500% on the SOD. So this is amazing results. People that understand the value, the importance of glutathione and SOD, and remember we're talking the protection side of the protect, repair, replacement equation that we talked about earlier, that ASEA is providing an enormous greater than 500% increase, and also increasing the quantities in the cell with 0 levels of toxicity. Very, very breathtaking, exciting results.
Michael, this is
Yes.
this sounds almost unbelievable. I mean, do you have research, or is there something you can point us to that actually says this?
Absolutely. You know, there's a white paper on the teamasea.com site. If you go to the product section, the product tab, and under the product tab there's a sub-menu that says downloads, and you can download a white paper that was done that goes through the research that shows this. I mean, it's a function of not only is it increasing the activity levels of these very, very important antioxidants, but it's doing it with absolute 0 toxicity. And that was the hook that actually got Dr. Samuelson to get involved with the research on ASEA, because he looked at these redox signaling molecules and he just said it's impossible for something like molecules like this to be able to be 0 toxicity. You know, 15 years of research showing 0 toxicity. That was the hook. And so he reproduced studies to see for himself, to show that it was doing all this, that it was activating it, that it was increasing the quantity of it, and was doing it with 0 toxicity levels in the body. And that was amazing to him, and that's what really got him involved. Now, Dr. Samuelson, he did an enormous feat and a huge contribution, because he's the individual, he's a medical and atomic physicist, and he's the one that discovered the method to stabilize the product so that it could be put in a bottle and we could take it orally. The original foundational product that the 15 years of research was done was a product that was produced and needed to be used within 30 minutes after it was produced. Ideally 10, 15 minutes. After 30 minutes, it pretty much reverted back to salt water. So when he took this to some of the universities and said, hey, we've been able to stabilize this mix of reactive molecules, they laughed at him. They pounded on the desk saying it was chemically impossible. So we came back, gave them a bottle of it, and said, okay, you analyze it. You tell me what we got. And they came back shaking their head going, this is amazing. You did it. Now we have to completely reevaluate our entire paradigm that told us that it was impossible to do this. Because that's typically what happens in major medical scientific breakthroughs, is people think something is impossible until somebody does it. And then all of a sudden it's a paradigm change. So let's take another look here about the kind of repair side of things. Why, we talk about all this amazing stuff. We talk about repair. I'm going to bring up another presentation here, and we'll take a look at it from a repair point of view. Okay, here we go.
My name is James Lawrence. I'm an Ironman triathlete. This
Never
year
mind.
I set out on a quest to
Hold on a second,
set the world
guys.
record for the most.
Wrong one. Let me bring up the right one. Anthony Galvin. Here we go.
My name is Anthony Galvin. I'm the current California Master State Criterium Champion. There's a really big race that happens every year, Manhattan Beach Grand Prix. I've won it the last 3 years in a row. This year I was going after number 4, very, very pumped for it. About 3 weeks prior, I was doing a race on the other side of the country. I had a horrible crash. Put me in bed. I got a bad infection. I was on antibiotics. I couldn't do anything. The last week of those 3 weeks of doing nothing, a friend turned me onto a SIA, and I started taking it twice a day. And that was the only thing I did. I didn't ride my bike, nothing. And I came out and I won for the 4th year in a row, biggest race of the year. One of the things that makes criterium racing unique in cycling is that it demands that you be able to put out an extremely hard anaerobic effort and then recover almost immediately and do it again and do it again and do it again. It's not like a marathon where you just go, go, go endurance. That's the first kind of fitness you lose when you take time off. It's the one that you have to really work hard to maintain, constantly staying on top of it. So to sit on my back, to lay on my back for 3 weeks and not do anything, and days are ticking off, and I'm seeing there's the calendar, there's my race, and I missed 2 weekends of racing being back here that I would use as prep, and everything's going out the window, and I'm just like, I'm not going to be able to pull this off. And then, it's come to within 3 days before the race, I got on my bike. I got on my bike 3 days, and the only thing I'd done for a week prior was take a SIA. That was my training. I couldn't have found it in a better time. 5 weeks out from nationals, and I'm going to Portugal for Worlds, and there's some big stuff coming up, and this is going to absolutely be part of my protocol. So and having it and having. You know what I mean? I'm very excited for the races to come.
All right. Hey Ben, you wanna put in any commentary here?
Yeah, the process that Michael was talking about earlier, and I'm sorry if the sound quality is different. My other home line battery actually went dead, so it's on the charger. But the repair process, the antioxidant activation process is called redox cycling. There actually is a term for that. It's called redox cycling. So redox or redox, however you want to choose to pronounce it. But it's a reloading of the antioxidant. It's like the antioxidant is in fact the gun, and the reactive molecules are in fact the ammunition. So it's the difference of having, would you rather have 1 round of ammunition and 1,000 rounds? I'm sorry, 1 round of ammunition and 1,000 machine guns, or would you rather have 1 machine gun and 1,000 rounds? So you really have to have the reload, and the reload is critically important. It's called redox cycling, and that is it's like molecular confetti. You want the reactive molecules throughout your interstitial fluids and acting as a ready source of reactivation for antioxidants, so the repair work can take place. And what that top athlete experienced was a very rapid recovery, and also maintaining his performance level within the mix. So yeah, that's a very, very powerful story, because I know what it takes as an athlete. The thing that kept any athlete down in our arena, I was 7-time welterweight champion in Taekwondo in Oklahoma. The thing that kept us out of the race was injury. It kept us from our training. It kept us from getting back in there and getting in the game again. So if you can expedite that recovery and repair process, wow, it's significant. It really is, Michael.
That's great.
And I think that's significant too, the fact that he actually had an infection. So it was not just an injury, but he had an infection, which is a double whammy, and he was in bed for 3 weeks. That's unheard of.
That'll really pull your system down. Definitely an infection just really does pull against your performance, because it's like the Olympic athletes. The worst thing they could do is train for the multiple years that they train, go in and get the flu or get something that just shuts that whole process and all that training and really throws it in the trash can. So yeah, that is very powerful, David. Very powerful.
Absolutely. Well, Mike, I'm handing this back to you. Share your screen.
Alrighty. Okay, so Continuing on here, let's just kind of reiterate on this ASEA breakthrough here. So I mentioned that it starts as salt water, and we're not talking about seawater. It's actually using a highly purified water and a highly purified sodium chloride. It's actually medical grade. The process then uses a very highly patented process. There's over 26 patents on this process that converts it into literally these trillions of redox singly molecules that are stabilized in the saline solution. And it achieves the impossible by being able to stabilize these molecules in there. I mean, so this is the first to be able to stabilize these singly molecules, and it is the only product in the world that contains the balanced set of singly molecules that are exactly the same as those that are produced in every single cell of your body. So it's truly, truly a major breakthrough. It is not just a variation on a theme, an extension of some other nutritional concept. This is something that is a brand new category creator, a breakthrough. And out of my 30 years of being involved in health and wellness, it is unprecedented. I have never seen anything like it at all. So again, it's beyond natural, it's native, and it is completely zero levels of toxicity. You could drink literally a gallon of this a day, and you're not going to have any ill effects other than to your pocketbook. I mean, it's not necessarily something that you want to do, but you can drink an unlimited amount of it, and you won't have any toxicity as a result of it. So let's talk a little bit about just reviewing the benefits of it. It's a massive breakthrough in health and wellness. And significant impact on sports and fitness. Again, reducing the heart rate, less soreness, better recovery, how it affects in time the ventilatory threshold. And it's only available through registered ASEA associates. So I think at this point, what I'd like to do is, Ben, before I show a couple of the final clip here, do you want to kind of share just a moment about closing comments about ASEA?
Yes, I'd love to. ASEA is the difference between saying to somebody who has places to go, people to see, things to do. It would be the difference from saying, do you want the parts to a car or do you want a car? The ASEA is a completed molecule that enters the body through consumption, through drinking it or spraying it. You can spray it literally into the eyes without any type of irritation whatsoever, just to show you how native it is to the body and how non-toxic it is to the body. It's a very, very easy area to irritate. And so through consumption of these molecules, they're already pre-assembled. They're ready to go. They're ready to be utilized. It's almost like a molecular transfusion, like a blood transfusion is to a person who has had trauma. They need instantaneous results. They need refortification of blood now. They don't have time to manufacture or make it. They need it now. So they administer a blood transfusion to that individual, and instantly their life is saved. Instantly they come alive again. And because when that blood comes into the body's not taking it through the airport screening security gate and saying, wait a minute, are you a good guy or a bad guy? No, it's coming in saying, where have you been? Where have you been? Go here and here and here and here. So the ASEA, the molecules, are treated that way. They're native to the body. They're not waiting on digestive inadequacies or adequacies to perform. You've got something that's utilized instantaneously as it comes into the body's saying, where have you been? Let's go to work. I need you here, 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 and here. So that's what, there's just a major difference, and we're not, we're not competing with ingredients out there and different products. We're literally, when we say cutting edge, we're not cutting edge. We're a brand new blade. ASEA is literally a brand new blade. It's not the next big health nutrition supplement. It's the next big health advantage, and that's what we have to realize about ASEA. The ASEA difference is it's complete. It's ready to go. There's, you know, it has a profound effect at every level in the cell. If it affects the cell affects systems. The systems affect organs. You're at the foundational level. And when it comes to athleticism, it's like, you know, taking a runner and saying, okay, now we have shoes for you. You know, before we didn't have shoes, now we have shoes for you. And by the way, the race is over these rocks. And so you want to, you need shoes in order to even foundationally step up on that platform and compete because of that condition. Well, now ASEA is taking an athlete and saying, okay, here's where you start, and then you add your discipline, your strength, and your routines and your training into that mix and elevate you beyond that. But it is definitely going to be foundational. And I'll turn it back to you, Michael.
All right. Well, let's take a just another clip here.
My name is Felix Rapp. I'm 27 years old. I'm originally from the U.S. Virgin Islands, the island of St. Thomas. And I've been a professional baseball player for 9 years now. I'm a huge believer in natural supplements. I believe that you only have one body and you should take care of it the best way that you can. After taking ASEA the first time, I went to a workout. Once I got done with that workout, I had tons of energy. Later that night, I went to bed feeling wonderful. And when I woke up the next day, I felt totally rejuvenated. I knew there was something about ASEA. As a professional baseball player, there's extremely long seasons. We play a 140-game schedule. And I believe that you need to be able to recover on a day-to-day basis to be ahead of the competition. And after taking ASEA, I could tell immediately that it was real.
That's amazing. How much did you pay these guys to do these presentations for you, Michael?
Yeah, no, not enough. No, these guys are all doing it. None of these guys are paid endorsements. I'm just going to end with Jonathan Tesler here. Let's take a look at this.
My name is Jonathan Tesler. I'm a husband and father of 3 kids. My passion is cycling. To support that passion, I published a new cycling website called bicycle.net. So I am a 46-year-old father of 3. I was absolutely blessed with completely and totally average genetics. I've never had standout genetics. So for me, any performance gain in what I do is huge. Last year before ASEA, it was really a struggle for me. This year on ASEA, I'm able to compete as a 46-year-old against these 22 and 24-year-old kids, and all they do is train. That's their life. They train. I don't have that ability, so any advantage I can get is huge for me. You know, for me, being in the cycling industry, I see a lot of products come across my desk. Most of them, if they do work, have fractional results, which are really hard to gauge. The biggest way to judge performance is I do a climb. I do the climb once a week. I know what my heart rate is, and I know what my times are. So I go back to the same climb over and over and over again. So I knew that my fastest time ever was 17 minutes flat. So I've been on ASEA this week. Actually, it's at my best time, which is 16 minutes and 20 seconds. What makes that more impressive is that my training has been greatly reduced from last year. The only difference between then and now is ASEA, and I can attribute all that gain, that 40-second gain on the time card, which is a large amount, to ASEA.
It seems to me like, and I'm certainly not trying to do a marketing plug here, but it seems to me like if the way the company is going, it's almost like if you're not on ASEA, you as an athlete, you are at an unfair disadvantage.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a reality, because as more and more people are discovering this product, you know, they're just realizing that they need it, that they don't want to be without it, and I sure would hate to be people out there that are not using the product for, you know, and having to compete with those that are. So, you know, that's a real big thing as far as getting this product out there in the world, because people now are discovering it, and they are basically clamoring all over the world to figure out how can they get their hands on this product. So I think that's probably a good transition just to talk about, first off, how you do acquire a SIA, how you do get a hold of it, and talk about the purchasing of it. So just to kind of give that some perspective, and then what I'd like to do, Dr. Dave, is maybe just field a few questions, final questions that you may have. But essentially, the way a SIA comes is it's either in a box of 2 bottles or a box of 4 bottles, 2 bottles or 4 bottles, and you can buy it either at retail for $150 for 4 bottles, or you can become what they call a preferred customer and get it at the same price as associates who are doing this on the business side of it, and get it for $30 a bottle, $120 for 4 bottles. That's a great way of going to do that. And as far as the recommendation, most people for the first month or so are going to be taking 4 ounces a day and then 2 ounces a day thereafter. Except for people that are competing, they're going to probably want to take a little bit more during the day of competition. I hear several people that take as much as 8 ounces before competing, and then after competing they would take another 4 ounces just to really supercharge their body's ability to recover and repair itself, so they're ready to go to the next day. But the product comes with an unconditional empty bottle money guarantee. They're so convinced that everybody's going to have great results with it that it's a 30-day unconditional guarantee on the product. So a SIA really is not going to take a mediocre athlete and turn them into a superstar, but it's going to take you and make your best even better. And that's why so many people are talking about beating their personal best. I've seen case after case after case of amazing results people are getting with this product, and they're getting these results, like I said earlier, we're not talking weeks or months, but we're talking days for people to have these kinds of results. So this is something that no one's ever achieved before, once thought impossible, and this really is a paradigm buster. It really is something that you have to use it and experience to believe it. So with that, Dr. Dave, I think we've got a few minutes left. Are there any questions, or there's anything else that you would like to ask before we adjourn this webinar?
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much, Michael. This has been enlightening. Folks, you have your go ahead and type in your questions in the chat box. I've seen a couple of comments come in, but I'll take it back and just show you make a few more announcements while those questions are coming in, and then we'll start fielding them in a few minutes. Okay, I think you'll see my slide now. I have a couple of questions I'm going to ask, but folks, this is just one of the presentations that we're having this week. Although, yes, indeed, according to Ben, I mean, I've seen a lot come and go, and this is impressive, especially from the athletics and the healing perspective. We did studies on glyconutrients as well, and I'm sure some people who have been on glyconutrients and sugars, the sugar products, will realize that, well, when they're talking about cell-to-cell communication, this is an example. I mean, this goes right along with it, but this seems to be even at a more basic level than just between cells. But this, from what you're saying, this is within the cells, within the organelles of the cell, back and forth. So there's lots of interesting things here. I'm just going to show our website. Oops, that's what I want to see. I'm going to show you the website really quickly for those of you who are just joining. You can leave your comments on our site. So if you go to our site and you want to have a question or comment that wasn't covered tonight, you can actually, what you can do is you can actually click on the banner, and that will take you to, obviously, the comment place. You can read what the presentation was about, and you can leave a comment or leave a question, and we encourage our presenters, when they have time, to go back to the site and to read these comments and answer the questions that need to be answered. If you ever want to watch any other presentations, obviously there are many that are available for download. There's a small fee attached to that, and of course, if you want to be a member, you're going to have access to about 160 different kinds of presentations. or more. So there are lots of things to choose from. You can also go to our the homepage on the right side. You can actually see what presentations are coming up in the next weeks and months. Remember, tomorrow is Dr. Ruff. She's going to be talking about living life after, or living fully after loss, and then glutathione, which Michael spoke about. There will be a presentation specifically on that master antioxidant. So lots of good things coming up again. Let me see, what else do we have? Okay, if you do want to get, if you do want to have questions, or you want to know about how to buy it, what we do, folks, and some people may object to this, but hey, if you do a presentation, if someone comes and gives you a technology that isn't commonly known, or it's not in places like Walmart, for instance, the next question is, well, I want to give this a try. Where do I get it from? And as a token of our appreciation for those people who have helped us to get speakers like Michael, get speakers like Dr. Gutman, who is coming on Thursday, what we do is that, as a token of our appreciation, is that we either direct everybody to them to have their questions answered, and also to purchase from them, or sometimes we join as a company that's building strength. We join the person, sign up as an associate, whatever you think. I mean, whatever you want to choose, and they will help to answer your questions and help you use the product like you should, or whatever it is. So that's Ben's number, 918-734-3422, and you can call him on his cell phone, and his email address is benmayberry@cox.net. Of course, if you want to order us, if you want to order directly from the website, it is spiritmindbody.team@sia.com. This is how we usually do things here, and so if you are just joining, well, that's how we get such great presentations. All right, questions. Let's see what has come up. Okay. The incremental changes. Well, hang on, I have a question myself. Michael, can this thing be mixed with other liquids? ASEA.
Well, you really don't want to mix ASEA with anything as you're taking it. I mean, the real amazing aspect of it scientifically is they've been able to stabilize this in the bottle. But basically, anything that you do with it, mix with, put it in metal, use a spoon, anything like that, destabilizes it, and and it starts immediately reverting back to salt water. You want that destabilization to be occurring in your body so that those redox signaling molecules, which get absorbed practically instantaneously throughout the body, so that's happening there. The product itself, because of that stability factor, was unable to be sweetened or flavored or colored or anything like that. So when you first tried the product, it's reminiscent of like diluted pool water. That's what a lot of people talk about. Oh, give me some of that pool water you got there. But actually, after you use it for a couple of days or a week or so, it's amazing. After your body gets balanced, you don't even notice that pool water kind of aspect about it. But for instance, we've done some work where people have mixed it with, like, say, tomato juice and immediately drank it. In other words, they didn't mix it in tomato juice and let it sit there on the table for 10, 15 minutes. They immediately drank it, and we saw that the results measuring some markers for inflammation were exactly the same. So, in that case, the mixing wasn't a problem, but they did drink it immediately. It was mix it and drink it. But mixing it with anything else is going to be problematic. But with that said, you can drink ASEA and then 5 minutes later, drink whatever you want, take whatever you want. It has a huge activation, increasing the efficiency of other things. So something even like, drink ASEA, then a few minutes later drink orange juice, and people are going to be getting, 300% more efficacy from the vitamin C in the orange juice than had they not drank the ASEA first. So it definitely is synergistic with everything else that we're taking.
Okay, so can you leave it? It's probably not a good idea to leave it standing for too long.
Well, you know, ASEA, as long as you don't mix anything into it, is incredibly stable. It's stable for, you know, 18 months essentially. It doesn't even need to be refrigerated. It's stable. You can even boil it or freeze it, and it doesn't damage it. It can either go through X-ray machines and things of that nature. So it is very, very stable as long as you don't mix anything into it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, here's a question. Would metal in the mouth, e.g. dental implants, alter its efficacy or composition because it's metal?
Well, again, you know, the metal would go towards destabilizing it, but it's already in your mouth. You want to, as soon as you put it in your mouth, the organic aspect of the mucous membrane of your mouth is going to destabilize it more than just the metal itself. And you want those molecules to be released in your body, and they'll start being assimilated immediately. Before it even gets to your throat, it'll start absorbing in the mucosa membranes in your mouth, down your throat, before it even gets to the stomach. So the metal in your mouth will not negatively affect it.
Interesting. All right, what conflicts, are there any conflicts with drug medications, e.g. people on hot medication?
Well, you know, the thing is that everybody already has ASEA existing in every single cell of their body. It's just that as we age, the quantity that's there is diminishing, so that repair efficiency diminishes. But you know, so it's so native and natural and so fundamental to life processes. So we don't really see it as being you know, contraindications with other drugs. But here's the one thing: if people are on medication, it's always a good idea for them to check with their physician in case they need to adjust the amount that they're taking. We've seen in several instances where people were able to reduce the amount of various medications they were taking because their bodies are no longer requiring the same level of intervention. So that's a good idea, just to kind of check it and monitor and see if they're able to reduce that.
I would like to make one comment in regard to that, David. The body becomes very much responsive. It's more responsive anytime you elevate performance at the cellular level, as ASEA addresses. Your body's just more responsive, and in a drug interaction, drugs in the body are basically stimulatory in nature. They essentially rob Peter to pay Paul, and so the stimulatory effect of that drug inside a very responsive body will elevate the performance of the drug. So it will certainly can elevate the performance. So you do want to work with your doctor and have him monitor what he's an expert in, which is the drug interaction, the drug inside of the body. And of course they have tests to monitor that. So just being able to say, oh yeah, my body's responding much more aggressively to everything around it, including this drug. So therefore, patterning down the quantity is often seen.
Okay. I think that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, here's another question. How long does an average or well person need to take ASEA?
Well, that's a really good question. We have some people that have health challenges. They take the product, their health challenges diminish, and they go, fine, I'm fixed, I don't really need to take it anymore. But the real question I like to ask people is how do they feel about aging? Because what we're really talking about is a major anti-aging effect of the product. And so the more you take it, the more your body's going to be able to ward off upcoming problems and to be able to ward off the aging process itself. So, I can't imagine not having the product. It's kind of like when Ben was talking about drinking the last 4 ounces in a spray bottle. I've been there, done that. I've never had a product that I, were so wanting to have. If I only had to pick one thing to have around, this would be it. So again, it's it's just that if you stop taking it, the benefits that you're getting are real-time benefits. They're not something that you're going to build up a quantity that's in your body. This is happening in a real-time basis.
Well, that says a lot. You've been in the nutritional and healthcare field for how many years did you say?
a good 30 years.
And this would be the one thing you would take?
This would be it. If I had to give up everything else and I was down to one thing, this would be it.
Huh.
You know, and I think to maybe intensify what Michael is saying is that it's like if you were the military and you've got all the bombs, all the ammunition, all the guns in your warehouse, but you drop communication. If you drop communication at every level inside of the military, how efficient would it be? You would lose a tremendous amount of the overall performance of the military if you drop communication. So communication is critically essential, and so that's what why what Michael said is so important, because all the other resources, no matter how much you have in the warehouse, no matter how much you have and fortified yourself, if communication breaks down, then things go awry. Things run amok, and so.
Interesting. Does ASEA increase the concentration of what presently reactivates antioxidants? Do you understand?
Well, yeah. Basically, what happens is when you take ASEA, it essentially balances the redox environment in every single cell of your body. So the mechanism of this is so fundamental to the cells, it's intricately impacted. If the cell has too much of one category or the other of these different redox signaling molecules, it just converts the excess back to salt water. So there's no storage of this. It just restores the balance, and then the body knows exactly what to do from that point forward.
What ongoing long-term studies are in process? I know you mentioned the Team ASEA sites. Could you give it to us again on how to locate those studies?
Well, it's www.team, like a sports team, TEAM, ASEA, ASEA.com is the corporate website, and go to product and then in the download section. But they've got lots of studies going on. There's 6 universities right now doing studies, and many, many more that are clamoring to do it. I mean, the word's getting out on this. For 15 years it was tightly held in a public company going down a pharmaceutical pathway. When the team at ASEA acquired all the technology, the intellectual property and patents, and they brought in their team to figure out the mechanism of action and stabilize the product and move it forward in a nutraceutical environment. They've been redoing a lot of studies, not focusing on structure and function things relative to healing disease or anything like that, because that's the purview of the pharmaceutical world, but they're focusing on things like oxidative stress and performance and things of that nature that really more in the purview of the nutraceutical environment. But there are lots of studies being done, some conducted by the company, others done by independent people. We've got some folks that are looking at doing doctoral theses on this, because this is such an exciting area of research.
And that's amazing. Okay, so can people Google redox signaling if they want to find out more information outside of their Team ASEA websites? Is that?
Yes, for sure. They'll be introduced to a huge amount of research going on in the world of redox signaling, and the interesting thing is other than people that have used keyword searches for ASEA in that regard, you won't see other products in this redox signaling space, because this idea of being able to stabilize these molecules is a major breakthrough.
Well, I think the company hit a home run with that, just being able to stabilize those things.
It's exciting.
Go ahead, man.
Things like keywords like cell signaling on Wikipedia is a very good definition. They're redox signaling molecules, communication molecules. A lot of things can really lead you to the global science that has existed out there in this topic. But like Michael said, when I came home from the company, I flew there to get the picture straight from the proverbial the horse's mouth. And when I came back, I spent 2 days on Google, and I just Googled and Googled and Googled. And, you know, even though there was a huge amount of scientific talk all over the world, there were no sponsored links of anything. And then it was very, very interesting, very exciting, and it really kind of put a grin on my face as I keyworded everything, and I didn't find anything that had a sponsored link outside this arena of science. And then the latter part of the second day, there came the first sponsored link that came up that there was a SIA. There it was. So talking about the first globally, yeah, that's a big thing. So.
All right, question. Antioxidants, we've talked about that. How about inflammation? That's another key reason why people deteriorate health-wise. How do these molecules affect inflammation?
Well, there's a lot of really exciting work that's been done. Are you familiar with C-reactive protein as a marker for inflammation?
Oh yes, we've had Barry Sears come to a presentation on inflammation. Yes, so we are.
We had one group that did. And this wasn't through the company, this was outside, but you know, a very skeptical group of scientists and doctors. They did some studies with it, and they found that there was a dramatic you know, reduction in C-reactive protein as a result of taking a SIA. So, you know, they were very excited about its ramifications in that area. Again, you know, that's not a SIA saying it. That's, you know, again, we don't want to get into you know, treating, curing, and things like that. But inflammation is very, very important. People know how significant that is, and I'm sure that's why the person asked the question.
Right, right. Well, actually, I asked the question.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Does that still make me smart? Okay. What are the yeah? And that's speaking about smartness. So, any studies on brain health? How this affects cognition and memory and all that?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's one of the areas that seems to be, you know, impacted initially with a lot of people. Is it just seems to have an impact in cognition and perception. I just noticed that everything just seemed to get a little brighter, a little clearer. A lot of people comment on not only are they sleeping well, but how vivid their dreams are. A lot of people are recovering aspects of their memory that they haven't had in a long time, and a lot of that happens fairly soon. You know, in some cases it's, you know, days, other cases it's weeks, but we're talking about some pretty serious memory and cognition related areas that are benefiting tremendously as a result of the product.
All right, pets. Someone's concerned about pets. How many people had results with their pets, like a dog or a cat?
Oh yeah, there's lots of great pet testimonials. Everything from parrots to horses, and you know, whether you're using it externally or internally. I mean, and I don't want to underemphasize how powerful this product is just to spray it on the surface of the skin. It just has incredible benefits for anything related to that, whether you're talking about, you know, just, you know, increasing the efficiency of your body fixing itself when it gets damaged, whether you're talking any kind of thing related to the skin, just the overall quality of skin. But for animals, it's just as well. I mean, so we got tons of pet testimonials. So I guess that's a good thing because, you know, pets don't get placebo effects, right?
That's right. That's right. They can't fake it. All right. Here's a last question. I'm going to ask another one of my own, but are the incremental changes relatively the same per time interval? For example, 15% per time of ingestion over training time. Does that make sense to you?
Say that one more time so I totally understand it.
Okay, I'm reading it out word for word. Are the incremental changes relatively the same per time interval? E.g., 15% per time of ingestion over training time. I guess he's saying that if you take certain amounts, how much is absorbed of that? Let's say how much of the good quality stuff is absorbed. Well, if you're still out.
Well, I would say that you know, probably taking anything more than 4 ounces at one time, you probably should break it up incrementally. The actual product, it has a very short half-life when you take it. It lasts for half-life is about 17.5 minutes. But what it does in that 17.5 minutes is it restores that redox environment in the cells, and there's no half-life to that. Whatever's restored, it stays restored. But you want to take it, incrementally during the course of the day, a couple times during the course of the day. As far as training goes, all the studies were done where the athletes basically took 4 ounces a day for 2 weeks prior to being tested for the VO2 max ventatory threshold tests that were done. And in that case, they on the day of taking the test, they did drink it just prior to the test itself. We have a lot of athletes that just say they like to take the product right before any major exercise or any major competition.
Well, apparently that's a good time to take it.
Yeah. So I don't know if that completely answers the question. I'm not totally clear what the question was asking, but hopefully that covered it.
Okay, I think he reclarified. If you have 15% in 1 week, will you have a 15% the following week? Thanks for trying to answer. Yeah.
I think that people were finding that they're sustaining an increase over norm, and again, there's probably a maximum that you're able to sustain at some point as far as getting incremental improvements over time. I think that the biggest thing relative to athletic performance is they're finding that as a result of taking ASEA, they're able to train more frequently and more vigorously than they could without it. And of course, that's increasing incrementally the overall performance, from the result of the training itself. So again, I don't know that, just taking ASEA, over periods of time is going to get you greater than that 13% without it.
Okay. Okay, a few more questions came in. Sorry. We'll just take these few extras. Is it better to take 1 ounce 4 times a day as long as it is on an empty stomach? Does it matter if it's on an empty stomach?
I recommend taking at least the first time. It's best to take it on an empty stomach in the day, but during the day I don't pay that much attention afterwards. I don't think people need to be so dogmatic about it. But I think it's a good idea to take at least 2 ounces at a time, 2 to 4 ounces at a time once you get familiar with using the product. If somebody is got a health-related issue, it's probably best for them to start off, with maybe a half an ounce twice a day or an ounce twice a day and build up to that 2 to 4 ounces twice a day, at that point. And people that are dealing with, some health challenges, they're going to need to probably take for a good 4 weeks or so, more of a saturation loading amount where you would take it during, a couple different times during the course of the day, 2, 3, even 4 times a day maybe, just for that short period of time to really do that restoration and then back off to, kind of a maintenance after that.
David, one of the things that I found in using it, because it doesn't have to be refrigerated, you can literally set it at your nightstand, just so you don't swig out of the bottle and leave bacteria on the bottle itself. Just pour it into a shot glass right there, and when your feet hit the floor, you take your shot of reactive molecules, or ASEA in this case, and then by the time you do whatever you're going to do, make coffee, make your breakfast, it's already been utilized, so you're ready to go, and there's no question in your mind, putting that question mark in the back of your mind, oh, I hope I maximize my usage of the product, because you always want to get the best bang for your buck, and I think that being able to set it, right there at your nightstand, right before you go to bed, right when you get up, when the feet hit the floor, you're consuming it. When you're just before your head hits the pillow, you're making your consumption run. 2 ounces in the morning, 2 ounces in the evening, or an ounce and an ounce, depending on where you decide that you need to land, both economically and benefit-wise, in your consumption. So, yeah, that's because, if you need to throw it in the truck with you or take in the car on a hot day, you know, you can withstand 400-degree temperature before it alters the bioactivity of the molecule. If you freeze it, it ends up getting frozen. Consume it, but wait till it fully thaws before you consume it, because there are suspended particles that need to be fully, thawed out before you consume it for maximum, benefit and balance. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't think there's a real magic formula to the consumption of it. I think one of the best things to do is win the surest way, and by not mixing it into something else, that would be, in my estimation, winning the surest way. But they, like Michael said, the studies have shown on an anti-inflammatory base the effect, was not altered on an anti-inflammation note. So hope that helps.
Could you say again what the life of the reactive molecules are after taking, please? And thanks.
Well, again, once the destabilization occurs, there's about a 17.5-minute half-life. So that means that, after 17.5 minutes, half of it's gone. Another 17.5 minutes, another half of it's gone, and so on. But in the process of that 17 minutes, it's already restored the redox environment in all the cells. So it doesn't really matter at that point, anything over and above that, the body's just going to convert to salt water anyway.
Okay.
That's why you want to take it again later in the day, in case that balance needs to, in case whatever your situation is, that balance is lost, and you want to restore the balance again.
Okay, great. Final question. Someone says, great stuff. Okay, I agree. This is fascinating. How best to spray? Is it put in a plastic or in a glass container?
Well, we actually provide a container that when you get a 4-bottle case, it comes with a little 4-ounce blue bottle, spray bottle. Personally, I don't think it would matter. You'd be better off if you had a glass container, but it's it doesn't spend that much time in those spray bottles. It goes pretty quick. So ideally, that would probably be best, as long as there wasn't any, it was new and there wasn't any residual of something else that was in the container prior.
One of the things with the spray application is, if you're taking your ounce in the morning, ounce at night, or 2 ounces in the morning, 2 ounces at night, whatever the ratio of consumption you've chosen is best for you, if you'll take the spray bottle in, your pocket or purse, heck, I put it in my back pocket off to the side where when I sit down, I don't smash the bottle. It's a pretty durable bottle. I've been happy with that aspect of it. But, when you spray it in your mouth, you can spray it throughout the day. And heck, it's through oxygen transfer and spraying it right on the tongue. The benefits are going to be, great, but also when you spray it, it's not enough to really, by the time it hits your stomach, if you just ate, heck, it's utilized through the mucosa in the mouth, through your esophagus before it even hits the stomach, because it's not that much to even hit the stomach. But yeah, that's a good way to, if you want to, or if you feel it's necessary to consume, inside of the day, spray application is a great way to do it. And also give yourself a little mist in the eyes and in the face. It's not easy to at first when you spray the bottle. You close your eyes. Spray the bottle, close your eyes. What I found to do, I have to look straight up toward my forehead and my hairline and the bottom of my eyes, and that way I'm able to keep my eyes open and still spray it. So it takes a little technique. After a while, you get it down. And it really, if you're tired, for instance, if you're driving down the road and you've got tired eyes, I'll tell you what, there's nothing better. You spray that in your eyes, and it's just like, boom. your eyes are instantly not tired anymore. So very, very, very neat effect.
And someone says, yes, misting the eyes is very good. It helps clear my foggy sight in the morning. That's by Jan. Okay, question, is it light sensitive? It's not. You just mentioned that it's stabilized, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, Michael, Ben, thank you. This has been a wonderful presentation, very illuminating and very revealing. And thank you for helping us to understand more about this fascinating body we call our human body. and I'm sure people will benefit from this, and they're going to give these products a try. And Dr. Bursis says, thank you all. All right, well, we appreciate you guys. Thank you again. And do you have any final words, Michael?
No, I just, I'm grateful you put this together, and appreciate spending time with you, and wish everybody well.
Thank you. Ben?
Yes, thank you also, David. Appreciate you bringing things to market with such a base of knowledge, an opportunity for people to really get it, because, a little ad, few words here and there, sometimes, unfortunately, people miss it because they just don't get enough information. And it'd be a sad thing to miss. So what you are doing inside of Building Strength webinars, my hat's off to you. I just think it's absolutely phenomenal that you can provide a library of information for people to go to review, to go back. It's invaluable what you do. And so we thank you. We appreciate the opportunity to share.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right, folks. That does it for tonight. Have a great evening, and God bless.